This is for a brighter future.
Okay, this is going to be a lot of fun. We're taking a little bit of a left turn with regards to the interviews that you typically know from me, and we're going to be talking about arts, the creative arts, STEAM, and how we can impact kids in so many different ways. And recently, the Grammy Foundation and the Recording Academy, they were part of the Grammy Music Educator Award, and out of 4,500 nominees, they narrowed it down to 10 finalists, spanning 8 states and 10 cities, with winners, the winner receiving $10,000 and the finalists receiving $1,000 for themselves and $1,000 for their schools. And these educators were known and acknowledged for making remarkable impact on students' lives. And we are privileged and honored to be joined by Fennell. She's a music educator and creative arts department chair at Mission Vista High School. We were saying off air in the lovely San Diego. That does not hurt. Anne is very accomplished in music. And Anne, I believe this is now your 29th year you're getting ready to complete?
Yes, 29 years. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? And you're also a council member with the National Association for Music Education. You do a lot in the community. And first off, congratulations on the finalist award with the Music Educator and in the Grammys.
Thank you so much. It's been, as I mentioned earlier, it's just been an amazing circle to receive this, because my professors contacted me, my teachers have contacted me, and then those that I have taught in the professional world have contacted me, and then my students, past students that are now in their 30s and all of those things, and just people coming out of the woodwork that I might have not heard of in the last 10 years. I've just come to recognize and to know that they were a part of this great world of what I received and then what I was able to give back. So
yeah, it's incredible when something like that happens. What you receive from people that have been in your past that you've really contributed to in their growth and development. You know, you had shared in an interview that I saw a story about a 5th grader and the impact that this 5th grader had with regards to choir and music and what had been going on in the environment. And I think I'd love for you to share the story with the audience. But I would say first off that one of the things that I think music education and just the creative arts gets shortchanged in is the impact across disciplines within a school environment. And this is such a great example of this because the emotional well-being of a child goes beyond, reading, writing, arithmetic, and even music to that degree, or any creative art. So please share that story with the audience.
And I want to address that emotional aspect, because if the student doesn't feel comfortable, or the student is not happy with him or herself, or there's anything emotionally going on, they're not going to learn. So you have to have, basic necessities taken care of, and you have to know that who you are is worthy, right? And so you never know how a student is going to find their place in who they are, and then in the school. We just assume that everyone comes to school ready to learn, and that's not the case. And in this particular story, it was a student who ate his shirt all the time. I mean, he would come to school and his shirt was completely wadded up and had holes all the time, and he would put it in his mouth and he would completely chew on his shirt, to the point where he could barely sing, he could barely participate in class. And it was over time where I eventually saw his shirt in choir. He would just stop putting his shirt in his mouth because he would need to sing. And I would say, "Can you sing today?" And he would sing a little bit. And it got to the point where he would wear his shirts and they'd be a little bit wet, fewer holes, and then he would sing all the time with the choir. And that particular choir, we were able to sing the national anthem at a Padres game. And to see him on the field in the front row of 130 students, singing completely open to the world and giving his gift to the world and finding his place in that ensemble, emotionally and socially and culturally, was overwhelming to me. I mean, it still brings tears to my eyes. I almost can't, it wipes me out every time I think about it. But I also know that no one can ever take away that personal growth. No matter, someone can take away a physical book. No one can ever take away your physical, your personal, your emotional, your health, and your self-esteem, if you allow it. I mean, it's what we garner from these situations that make us whole as people, and no one will ever be able to take that away from him. It was beautiful.
It's an incredible story. It just speaks so much to what the voice that the arts can give a young person in a way that they potentially might not be able to experience in a traditional sort of academic environment. And one of the things that you talked about were the different challenges, and I really appreciated sort of the honesty and the approach to this discussion that you had. And you were talking about this, the challenge of the professional to professional, and acknowledging that music is an academic subject and that it does belong in school. Talk with us a little bit about that, because I think people they do think about the arts in a marginalized fashion, fair or unfair. And I think one of the key points there is, how do the contemporaries in your business of education think about the arts? So talk a little bit about that and why you feel so strongly.
Well, I first of all, I do believe that music is a discrete academic subject in that it has articulated, sequenced goals and standards. And we now know, as from the federal government, that it is a separate subject matter. It has rigorous coursework. We're fighting a culture and, 80, 90 years of people thinking it's an elective. And an elective has that thought, well, I get to choose to study or not. Yet the arts are what create culture. And we know that when a society leaves, what remains only is their culture. So the culture is very important, and we need to educate everyone in the concept of, we are a part of the culture, this is our past, and this is where we are now, and what are we going to educate you, and how will we educate you to create our new culture, what is coming next. And I know as a matter of fact, that when I help students understand their place in culture, they find such ownership that they are a part of that. Sometimes it's very hard to find themselves as a part of history, as a part of a spelling test, right? But they can find themselves in a part of creating something larger than themselves and contributing to that culture. And we know that this contributes to the well-being not only of our students, but also they begin to create and become a part of the contributing member to their society. And that, you can't even put a grade or a dime on that. To me, that's larger than any other thing we can get to see. Because I know, and I don't want to diss any subject. Clearly, I do not want to denigrate any subject. But I couldn't find myself tremendously through math. Now, some people do, but I couldn't find myself. For example, my mother was a phenomenal mathematician, still is. I couldn't make sense of the world in that way, but I could make sense of the world and contribute with my strength, to society and culture through sound and music. And I guess that's what it's about. It's allowing every student to find their strength and to realize that their strength is as rigorous and as important as any other subject, be it math, be it social studies, be it music, be it art, be it dance, whatever it might be, that we need all of those subjects to truly make our society whole. And that rigor and that importance should be equitable across all subject matter. Physical education, whatever it is that you're going to contribute to society in. That's the plus, because we're not all the same.
And one of the challenges in the greater teaching profession currently, especially here in the U.S., is finding new talent for a new crop of teachers. And then the challenge is when they do begin teaching, that we always struggle and see we're doing the same thing year after year. And that can be a challenge in making things sort of fresh and invigorating, just as a professional in person in that experience in that classroom. Now, technology has helped for a lot of different teachers, but I would think that the experience of working in music education makes every year, every week unique and different, even if you have a schedule and a calendar of when events and those sorts of things, but you have different instruments. You have different kids that are interpreting music in a different way. Is that a really good pitch to those that are thinking about becoming a teacher, that music education can be something that is exciting every day, literally?
Yeah, I think that's in any field, quite honestly. It's how you look at your education, how you look at your job or your life of teaching. Because I think all the quality educators that I know, regardless of subject matter, look at it as, I can't wait to get to the class, and I can't wait to share them how I look at this, or push me a little bit here, I want to know more about this, or, oh my gosh, did you read this current article? That's crazy. What do you think about that? Or, isn't that amazing? It might be in music. I think it's in all subject matters, quite honestly. I do believe that music teachers get the glory in a way when we teach, because not only get to teach these students, but I see the immediate results in a concert or in a rehearsal where suddenly the kids go, hey, that chord is not right. Can we fix this? And I went, oh my gosh, you understood that. That's great. It's immediate teaching and immediate application.
Yeah.
And sometimes in other subject matters, we might not get to see the immediate application. It might be years down the road. So music gets that immediate feedback because the feedback is through sound and it's live. And usually it's in front of a live audience. So, there's a little bit of rigor there that has to happen. Wouldn't it be amazing if all subject matters had to be on stage live to show their learning to an audience of 500 people? That'd be crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want to remind the audience that this interview with Ann Fennell is brought to you by Soundtrap. Make music and podcast online, a collaborative tool for the modern classroom and a Google education partner. And speaking of that and technology, I know one of the challenges you spoke about was music compilation through technology. Talk about that, because I think that we hear about it in the standard subjects and how technology is being integrated, but it was an interesting point when you talked about sort of staying up on what's out there when you're looking at music composition.
Well, when I first started music composition through technology, that was almost 8 years ago now. My first day, I thought, and I think I've mentioned this, do I teach or do I throw up? I mean, it was just literally, I was just a little bit ahead of everyone else. And it changes so fast. But that has challenged me to truly stay on top of everything. I read articles. I go to trade shows like the NAMM show. I want to see what's latest and greatest. I get gear magazines. I'm talking to the students about, hey, did you see this? What's the newest app? I just bought a new Samsung Lightning Bolt speaker for my iPhone or recorder. It's always trying to stay on top of it. And that is a little daunting, I have to say. It was like my first 3 days on Twitter years ago. Like, oh my gosh, how do I stay on top of this? Now I love it. I use it as a teaching tool all the time. And I think we begin to change what is normal, because there is no normal anymore. It is always what's next and greatest. Because I really feel like that if I can stay with that and the kids, and we can teach that to each other, then it's a win-win, because we're going to use it in the classroom or they're going to benefit from it in some educational way. It's a challenge. I'm not going to tell you that I know it all, because I certainly don't. And in fact, I'll have a student come in and go, hey, I just have this great program. Can I share it with the students? I said, in fact, why don't you create an outline and teach it to us so that we can all learn from it in that way? I've had a couple kids do that, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Peer-to-peer, it's the best way to do it. I learn, they learn. I have learned the most important thing is that I am no longer the sage on the stage when it comes to technology. I've never been that way educationally, but I just can't. So once I admitted to myself and to the students, I might not know that as well as you, then we learn together, and that the classroom becomes so open, because then we're all willing to learn and we all learn together. And now over the years, I've learned it, but it's just, you have to be open to it.
Let's close with this, Ann. I know that one of the greatest personal regrets I had is that I didn't actually get into the arts in high school until my senior year. And I absolutely loved it. It was something that I know that I'll pass that on to my kids and say, you want to start earlier. What advice would you have for a young person that is a little bit, there's some trepidation about joining joining a music class, joining band, these sorts of things, because they just don't have a lot of experience, or maybe their family hasn't done or participated in a way, and you want them to know that it is inviting, et cetera, et cetera. What advice do you have for a young person that's interested but not sure how they can fit?
Take a risk and cast your net wide. I really think that students need to just jump and leap. And there's that saying, leap and the net will appear. I really feel that there is no better place to find a group of friends. There is no better place to create a family at school. There is no better room to come into to see your friends and know that you're creating something larger than yourself together. It's a passion of mine to create families in my groups, and my ensembles are families and my classes are families. And when you can find that sense of family and a sense of belonging, there'll be days where you might even be sick, but you want to come to school. And that's how my students are. They want to come to school because they feel that sense of connection. And that's worth it. And then to create something that you're going to give to the world that's greater than who we are through culture and sound and beautiful, beautiful, emotive, evocative feelings. There's nothing better. There really is.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. We want to thank you, Ann, and congratulations on your 2016 Grammy Music Educator Award finalist recognition. And we want to also thank our sponsors at Soundtrap. Schools use Soundtrap in their projects to foster deep learning and develop students' creative, collaborative, and communication skills. Make music and podcasts online. Once again, I'm Dr. Rod Berger.
This is for a brighter future.